Yes, I'm outside. Yes, I'm wearing fake glasses. And yes, I am that serious. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about something rather interesting. Something that most people take for granted, they don't even pay attention to. It's something that interacts with their lives almost daily, and they hardly ever even notice it. I am, of course, talking about FM radio. Thanks to platforms like Twitch here and YouTube and things like that, there has been a steady decline since the invention of podcasts because people don't want to consume music with talking. They want the things separate. They want to hear talking. They want to hear music. They don't technically usually like the things combined. That's why a channel like mine is interesting because I talk about music. So there we are. We also talk about sports sometimes. Again, let's go ahead and do the intro. Go ahead and like the video if you want to. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Leave a comment down below with some of your favorite radio DJs and radio personalities. I'd like to check some of their stuff out. See if they're online. See if their profile is popping. I'd like to check out some of their demo reels. I'm a fan, a huge fan of radio. Please do not forget, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can catch me live on twitch.tv/justthatserious, where sometimes I talk about sports, sometimes I talk about music, but I'm always getting my butt whooped in video games. Let's talk about FM radio, right? A thing that, again, most people at this point just take for granted. They don't even realize that it's a thing. And now, I personally wish that, that there was a way to connect the streaming platforms, video and stuff, with the radio. I would like to get to a place where one day I can be a radio DJ on Twitch, where I will then have the rights legally, no DMCA included, to play popular music on my stream for a fee. Now, that comes at a cost, and I know that it's going to be at an exorbitant amount, and we're going to get to that place, and maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. But I really want to I want to find out why it hasn't happened yet. What are the rules about some of this stuff? And I don't know. And we're going to get to that. By the end of this year, I promise, I will have an answer for everybody as to, is there ever going to be a way to legally stream music on? Now, I know you can pay for licensing, and that's a different thing, and that can get expensive, and the value doesn't seem to be there. But I'd have to imagine that getting a big-time Twitch streamer to play your brand new hit in the background while they got 100,000 people watching, I do think there's a chance that could eventually happen. I think the music industry will start to catch on, and I think they are starting to find ways to do it, and they are connecting with certain people. But there has to be hold on, my spot. There has to be this place where we can get to where you can stream music. Now, let's talk about FM radio real quick. Again, something most people don't even acknowledge exists. That is, of course, an ad-based airtime thing, right? A radio station makes all of its money by selling aforementioned airtime. In that airtime, they're expecting to generate a certain level of listener, and then that way they can sell that number to an advertising company so that they can, say, sell Coke on their radio show. Now, it works the same in some of the streaming stuff where you can get your own personal deal based on how many viewers you get, and that's cool. But in radio, it's not necessarily confirmable, right? So on Twitch, I can look at my viewer count, and right now it's currently at 1 because I'm brand new. But at some point, I will be able to look over and see exactly how many people are watching, and that number is reflective to the actual number of eyes on the screen. Now, some of those places there might be 1, 2, 3 people watching in front of the same computer, but generally most people watch a computer by themselves. That's how it works. The computer, your phone, those are personal devices. They're not really something that we share a whole lot. It's an interesting thing. We went from group viewing to it's really an individual case by case thing. And I think that just comes with the technology. I know some people will probably attribute it to just our lack of wanting to be communicative, but I think that you'd be crazy to not think that we don't communicate now more than ever. There is literally millions and billions of messages being sent across Twitch currently. And that's not even talking about like the live YouTube videos or the comment section on YouTube. I would have to imagine there has been billions and billions of comments left on YouTube. Let's see actually if we could find that number. How many comments on YouTube per day? No. BTS Dynamite had. Let's see if we can find a number. I just want to see if there's a number to it because I want to see like what kind of numbers. This is 6.3 million comments in 24 hours on one song. So that's one BTS record had 6.3 million comments in 24 hours. Mr. Beast just did a video that did like 84 or 46 million views in one day. I think the last time I checked, it was up to like 260 million views on one video. And the comment section is just endless. 6.3 million comments on one video. That's insane. So that's what I'm saying. There is an actual reflective number. If you don't know how radio works, it's not necessarily like that because they can't have a digital transmitter in everyone's car telling them exactly what every person in the country is listening to. So they do similar to what they do on television. They kind of give them their special boxes. They do it a little differently. Now, here's where things I find is where the problem lies. Is they're still selling, although I think some radio stations today have started to pick up selling based on interaction. Download our app. Sign up for our thing. Click this to download the $10 off, blah, blah, blah. Like, so I do think they are starting to sell some of the stuff based on interactions. All that to say, I know a little bit about radio. I went to broadcast journalism school. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the radio business. When I was a very, very little kid, I saw a movie called Good Morning Vietnam. Good Morning Vietnam! All right, Robin Williams comes in with all this energy, high, crazy, and pay attention. If you watch me live, you'll see that there is a hint of that in there. I'm a big fan of his. I like the way he does it, the energy he brought in that movie. It's amazing. And it's telling a story about a war, and that's sort of very poignant to what we've got going on. So if you have the opportunity on whatever streaming service you can find it on, go ahead and watch Good Morning Vietnam. One of the best movies ever, and Robin Williams is amazing. But that gave 5-year-old me the dreams of being on the radio. In my local town, there was a couple radio DJs who go on to be, who were kind of some of the first nationally syndicated radio DJs. The two dudes named Ron and Ron. They are famous in the 80s for creating the slogan, "Let the puppies breathe." And because in the 80s, it was really popular to get girls to flash their but they didn't want to say it on the radio. No, not saying, "Flash me your" on the radio. They would say, "Let the puppies breathe." And people would, yeah. Cool. Very, very interesting. Here's a fun fact. Everybody knows Larry the Cable Guy. Larry the Cable Guy was a call-in comedian to Ron and Ron. And he would call in with random bits. And one of the bits he was doing was the cable guy. And the cable guy became the thing that he became famous for. And that happened right here in my hometown, Tampa, Florida. Well, I'm not from Tampa. I'm from Clearwater, but Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the market, and the radio was played in the Tampa Bay market. Ron and Ron on Tampa Bay. 1015, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on the station. That was 20 years ago. My point being, I've been a fan of radio for a long time. If you ever listen, radio follows a very simple format. It's almost call and respond, right? So you've got two styles of DJs, and you'll know, and they get their time slot based on what style of DJ they are, right? So your morning show guys usually are long-winded. They can usually talk a lot. They'll talk about a single subject for upwards of 45 minutes because they know they've got people in the car. They know they have the time. They're sitting. So if I go on at 7, I know that the people that are going to work at 8 are probably in their car at 7:30, which means I can run for a half hour on a single subject, and I know the fan base and the listeners will be there to hear the story. Okay. Now, you flash forward to your daytime guys, right? Your daytime DJs, they don't. They are all call and respond DJs. Call in, let me know what you want to hear next. On this 1 o'clock while out. Let me know. What can we play on this lunch hour for you guys? It's the old school lunchbox. Right? If you've listened to radio, you've heard all of those call and responses 1,000 times. Fuck Jason Nutty. It's what they do. It's a way to engage the listener, to keep them listening to that specific channel, because those people are usually your blue-collar workers, your taxi drivers, your truck drivers, those people who are sitting in the car forced to listen to the radio for long periods of time. They don't want to hear your wish-wash. They just want to hear something on the radio. And now here's where the radio still survives, I think, is the daytime DJs are the one that keeps it up, because the truth is most Americans are lazy and we don't really want to pick songs. Like, thinking about what we want to listen to next is taking away wavelengths in our brain from thinking about whatever else we're thinking about. We're worried about what we're doing for our job, and we don't want to be sitting there going, what song do I want to listen to next? So that's what the DJ on the radio is great at. He puts on the next song. And that's why the streaming services, you'll find a lot of people, they just listen to something on shuffle because they just don't want to have to think about what's next. It's played for me. Oh, damn. And it's a way to get surprised every time. You're always surprised. You're like, oh, this song, yeah. Now, the way that they have to pump out some of these songs, the way that they decide to play them over and over again gets them really repetitive and really kills the radio. Now, that's not payola, because they're not getting paid to play these songs, but it is a lot of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You know, I need you to break this new artist for me because if you want this other artist to come back when their single comes and do an interview, I'm gonna need you to play this. Now, that stuff still happens quite regularly. It's not quite payola academics, where now this is where the influencers are gonna run into a lot of problems, and you're gonna start to see it. It's not something that's come up yet, but it will. Payola is in fact something that's happening on the internet, very bad. And here's the other part of it. There is a second un-payola version of what they're doing. It's the same what they're doing with the radio DJs of being like, you shake my hand, I'll shake your hand. You scratch my back, blah, blah, blah. So what they'll do with some of these people who review music, and I am one of those people, I'm not to the big enough level yet to where I'm getting these kind of opportunities, but what you will find out is that they're getting whitelisted. They're going to get whitelisted by a record company. Oh, by the way, we'll go ahead and remove the content. We will go ahead and let you monetize it if you go ahead and on your 4.5 million subscribers on your subscribed YouTube channel, we want you to review this next one. Happens quite regularly. It's kind of a normal thing. And so it's not payola in the sense of like they're not getting any cash for it, but they are getting paid. They're getting the opportunity to monetize a video that may have not otherwise been monetized because they didn't quite own the rights to it. It's a very, very interesting dynamic. I find it very, very cool. In the sense of like it's intriguing. But I don't know I don't know I don't know if it happens the way that I expect it to, but I do think that there is a lot of that. Now, I just want to talk about some very weird and interesting facts about the radio that most people, again, don't even realize are going on. The 1 hour call signs. Every hour on the hour, pay attention. Go ahead and we'll go ahead and do the one from my local radio station. WLLD Holmes Beach, Tampa, Florida. Wild 94.1. Your hits and hip hop. Right? Every hour on the hour, they have to play that call out. And I don't know why, but it's just the FCC rules. The FCC mandates that every hour on the hour, they better put their call sign out there. And speaking of these call signs, it's really weird. It's using an archaic system that nobody really even understands. LLD, Holmes Beach, WLLD. It's just the call signs, right? It's the name. There's a order to it and things like that, but the real nuance of it is you can just basically pick whatever you think is going to fit. If you can find a way to make it work, you do. We have one here that's 102.5 The Bone. B-O-N-E. 102.5 The Bone. Or it used to be The Bone. I don't know. I don't listen to that station at all. It's, again, these are just interesting things. One of my favorite things about radio that most people never pay attention to, and maybe it's because most of us aren't bi-coastal, but on the west of the Mississippi, they have to use the letter K as a call sign. So it's like K-Rock and K101 or K, you know what I mean? East of the Mississippi, we're asked to use the W. Sorry. Sorry. In the radio world, we are W. W. So it's on the east side of the Mississippi, it's W. WLLD, Holmes Beach, Tampa, Florida. Weird. I don't know. It's just weird. It's the way it is. Somebody a long time ago said, that's it, FM radios, you have to signify West Coast, East Coast, even though nobody has towers big enough to transmit across the country, so there'll never be any confusion. And if you go state to state, you can have a WLD in multiple states, which is just, so what's the point? Why did we do that? There's some rumors and some theories as to why it was originally done, but I don't know if anybody actually has the actual fact. Why is it a west of the Mississippi River? The military stations do have the NNA, and the KNW were assigned out for the commercial radio use. Radio stations east of the Mississippi had to start with stations with a W, and the stations west had to start with K. But why? Now again, this is where I was saying there's some discrepancy through those, since radio stations already existed before the rules put into place and weren't required to change their name. The three letters of K and W, the three letters after K and W can mean a few different things. Sometimes they represent networks, so they own the radio stations. For example, WABC, KCBS, WTBS. Sometimes it's actual station number like KTO, KTWO, or KFOR. K4 can be an acronym such as WTW, Windows to the World, but the station that makes home to the prize of the best four-letter combination is a sports radio station out of St. Louis that's chose the name KRAP. Crap. KRAP. That's what I'm saying. But nobody knows the actual reason as to why they were assigned those two letters. They were just randomly picked. KW. Boom. Done. Commercial. Radio. In your face. Now, a moment ago, I did the W thing. The W thing drives me nuts. Even when I was in radio school, even while I was in broadcast school myself, my teachers would be like, no, Sirius. you got to say W. Just be like, who in the world says W? No one says W. W, W, W. W. But I'll tell you this much, if you're a singer or anybody who has to move their mouth around for a long period of time, I can tell you this, it's a fucking killer ass mouth exercise. W, W, W. W, 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 W. Nobody says it like that. No one. No one says it like that. It's not W. It's W. W. That's the way we say it now. Maybe at some point in history, everybody in the world said W, but they do not. The funniest thing about it is if you look at it, it's not even two. Never mind. Never mind. I digress. Again, the radio stations that go across this country are sort of unsung heroes in the fact that I think most people forget and take them for granted, but they really do serve a purpose, and there is a lot of blue-collar workers across the country. There's a lot of day labor. There's a lot of people that are forced to sit behind the wheel of their car for hours on hours on hours on end, and they could not do it without their local radio DJs. And so, as always, it is a tip of the hat to those wonderful folks who bring you entertainment to your FM stations. AM dudes are weird. Let's just be real. The AM stations get weird. They can get weird. So they can get weird. But on the FM side, and the FCC rules and things like that are some of the most interesting things ever. Like, you can't mention fellatio stuff, right? But you can say the N-word. Because the N-word isn't considered offensive. It's not one of the 7 offensive words. George Carlin, roll it. Probably won't do that, but you get the point. Anyways, there's just some pretty interesting things about the radio. Again, it's something that most people just take for granted. They just forget that it exists, and they just listen to it once in a while. And but it does serve a purpose, and I think that there is a lot of people that would... a lot of the work that goes on in this country that doesn't get talked about, the real unsung heroes of the U.S., they probably don't survive their day-to-day job without going batshit without the radio. So shout out to the radio DJs. Go ahead and turn one on tonight before you go to bed and get you some of that smooth jams, baby. Let me talk to you real quick and take you to a place tonight where you and your loved ones can get extra comfortable and cuddle up on the couch listening to some of our slow jams. And up next is Keith Sweat. If you know, you know. Anyways, go ahead, like the video if you want to, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and please leave a comment down below to help algorithm. Yes, I'm outside. Yes, I'm wearing fake glasses, and yes, I am that serious. I'm out.